No, as gifted as his player was as a defensive specialist, when he was traded by the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Vancouver Canucks in the steal of the century for the Leafs, where they got Billy Derlago and Vaive for this guy and Tiger Williams, we said to ourselves, hey, there's going to be a Stanley Cup in the future. It never panned out. But anybody would think that Derlago and Vaive would be gutting for Tiger Williams and this guy, who struggled during his career to score 10 goals a season. Again, a good defensive specialist, but was he worth Billy Derlago or Ricky Vaive? Of course not. So today we're going to be talking about one of the best defensive players of his era, and that worked against him in a lot of ways. We'll get into that in a second. Of course, we're talking about Jerome Patrick Butler, or better known as Jerry Butler. Now, he spent 11 seasons in NHL. During his career, he was known as a fast, gritty defensive specialist, but with a limited offensive upside. Now, 6 feet 180, was selected 55th overall by the Rangers in that strong 1971 NHL amateur draft, despite scoring only 6 goals in junior the previous season. Now, Hamilton Red Wings, he had 26 points in 59 games, including 6 goals. And you're saying to yourself, why would Toronto Maple Leafs sign a defensive specialist? Well, they were struggling with the third and fourth line, the power play unit, or trying to compete with Boston, Montreal, the Flyers. The Rangers trying to compete Boston, Montreal, and the Flyers, and it led to him eventually ended up in St. Louis and Toronto, who was trying to use that same kind of defensive system. Now, he spent most of his first 2 seasons in the minors, earning an 8-game call-up during the 73 season, during which he scored his first NHL goal. Now, when he was called up late again in the 74 campaign, he impressed with 16 points in 26 games and remained with the team during the playoffs, appearing in 12 of 13 games. Now, that was the year, of course, where they defeated Montreal in the playoffs, and things were boding well for the Rangers, but here it got kind of bizarre. They played the Flyers in the semifinal round, lost, I think it was in 6 games, and it could have easily been a finalist with a little bit of better luck. Now, in 75, in Butler's full NHL season, he recorded 17 goals and 16 assists for 33 points in 78 games, and earned a positive reputation for his speed, hustle, and quality defensive play. However, at the conclusion of the season, he was traded to the St. Louis Blues as the centerpiece of a deal for star goalie John Davidson. Now, in St. Louis, he received the opportunity to play on one of the Blues' top lines with Gary Younger and Bob McMillan, and responded with the finest year of his career, finishing the 76 season with 17 goals and 41 points despite missing 14 games due to injury. He had another solid year in 77, posting 12 goals and 32 assists for the Blues. Now, just after the start of the 78 campaign, he was dealt to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Inga Hammerstrom, who was basically forced out of Toronto because Ballard felt his Swedish experiment wasn't paying off. Now, in Toronto, he received less ice time, as coach Roger Nielsen used him exclusively as a defensive penalty-killing specialist. Now, although his offensive numbers suffered and he finished the year with just 18 points, he was by now considered one of the best penalty killers in the NHL, and was an important part of a Toronto team which nearly reached the Stanley Cup Finals in 78, where they lost, of course, the semifinals 4 straight to Montreal. Now, he spent 3 seasons in Toronto before being dealt by the Vancouver Canucks late in the 1980 season. Again, the Williams-Derlago and Vaive trade. Again, a complete rip-off. Vancouver had given up way too much for Butler and Williams. Now, in 81, Butler returned to his regular kind of tally. 12 goals and 32 points for Vancouver, his highest offensive total since his time in St. Louis. However, he lost his spot in the Canucks lineup during the 82 season and was sent to the minors for the first time since 74, and thus missed the Vancouver playing the Stanley Cup Finals in 82. Now, when he was released by the Canucks, he was signed with Winnipeg as a free agent in 83, 3 goals and 9 points in 42 games, but it was again demoted to the minors late in the season. Rather than accept the assignment, he chose to retire. Final NHL totals: 99 goals, 120 assists for 219 points in 641 games, with 515 penalty minutes. Now, what I find really bizarre about this, ladies and gentlemen, and for a guy that played 48 playoff games, he only scored 3 goals. And the idea, he had a few kicks in the can. Again, he made the semifinals in 1974. He made the semifinals in 78. And part of that Vancouver team, he would have obviously made the finals in 82, but Vancouver needed scoring, which got him to the finals. But I have a pure defensive specialist on the Toronto team. It would have been better to have a defensive specialist that could play good offense. Maybe they're giving up 10 or 15 goals that year, and that probably was the difference between Toronto, fully competing against Montreal. Because you look at the games of 78, especially the home games against Montreal, the Toronto, were competitive that year. And, sometimes you beat yourself. But for me, Jerry Butler, again, when I think defensive hockey, 1970s, I think of him. So thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what we're doing, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Requests are always considered and often taken. Have a good evening. Bye.